Stuck some Daily Pickle here from Black Hall Country Club.
They love baseball around here, man.
They love baseball around here.
Baseball.
We got Tommy Dallahan will join us on the set here coming up at 4:25. He's a UConn alum. Now he's turned pro last year, so we'll see how he played today in this heat. But let's talk some baseball right now. Over the weekend, Aaron Judge, flexor tendon in his pitching in his throwing arm, which is his right arm, which is his kind of back arm where he snaps it out there as a hitter, and especially the way he swings with that max effort all the time. I'm not thinking that it's as much throwing as they're worried about his swing. He's on the 10-day IL. You just got Ryan McMahon, and McMahon's off to a really good start, hitting 500 in his first two games. But I would also, think that, listen, if it's not awful for him to get a little bit of a rest right now, I don't know, but at 33 and 6'7", 260, maybe his knees hurt a little bit. Maybe his side might hurt a little bit. Maybe just a little bit of R&R here, even though you had the All-Star game and you're still traveling and stuff like that. It's not easy on these guys. And the more I read up on Judge, this guy is baseball only. He's thinking about baseball. Sometimes it's good to give your brain a couple weeks off. And as soon as this thing is ready for him to do some baseball stuff, I know the media is always prying and going, "Oh, why don't you just stick him at first base so he doesn't have to throw?"
Yeah, first base is easy.
Have you ever watched first base?
Man,
we just had Will Clark on.
So easy.
First base is so much more difficult than third because you have different throws. I was just explaining to Ben, watching Rafael Devers the other day make some plays at first base, it's difficult. You're doing stuff, and he's never done that before.
Right.
So there's a part of me that feels bad for him because people just think, "Oh, yeah, if you play third, you can play first." Listen, if you're not accustomed to a position and you're battling an injury, yeah, just go play first, maybe second. It's is making $40-50 million a year. He is going to win us a championship. We need him healthy, not in July, not in August, but in September and October. So I'd much rather have this be, and to use actually a Terry Francona analogy, much rather let this be the sniffles than the flu. And so right now, you put him on the 10-day, you monitor it, you give him some anti-inflammatories, and you try to get the swelling down, and then you bring the guy back in August.
So Tampa Bay next 4 games, then a road trip to Miami and to Texas, and they'll get him back before a series with Houston.
Yep.
Totally agree with you.
And here's the thing. Let me just explain. So Miami's no longer outside. Texas is no longer outside. So it's 72 in air conditioning where you're going to both. And if you have some kind of elbow or shoulder issue or even a knee issue, you don't want to throw a guy in that kind of, the fans are. It's cold. I can honestly tell you some of the coldest places I've ever played, Montreal, Houston, the domes are some of the coldest places you could stick a guy that has some kind of arm injury.
I didn't think about that.
Yep. Bundle up, dude. You go in the dugout and you're in your jacket because it's downright cold.
Well, they need to step up because they can't just lose these games and think that when
I
Judge comes back,
don't
they're going
think
to save
they're
them.
that bad off, but I do think that it's something that there's always something. There's always it's you have injuries, you have guys that go down, and it's now time for somebody else to take those at bats over the next 2 weeks and do something with them.
They've got to do something with them.
They've their keep. You didn't have to go out and get Ryan McMahon or any of the other guys that are going to come in with these trades if someone was doing the job.
Right.
So that's my point. Somebody's got to do the job, take the bull by the horns, and then now they can't take you out of the lineup.
I mean, he's the best batter in baseball. He's still hitting 340. Home runs, as we all know about it. And this team has relied on this cat for 2-3 years, especially when it comes to the offense. They have to keep on winning games because the team they're playing in this next series is right on their heels in the wild card.
Trust me, they're happy as hell that he's not playing.
Oh, for sure. The whole league. Red Sox are happy.
This is almost as good as getting a traded player on your team as getting the news that, hey, this next series or maybe the next two, because I don't know how often they play Tampa, but I assume it's like a home and home, and the next 2 weeks they will be playing up in New York, or they are in New York, or they'll go back to Tampa,
right,
whatever, one or the other. But if you could skip like 2 weeks of Judge, these pitchers would be tickled to death.
Yeah, back to Tampa,
Right.
August 20th and 21st. So, yeah, in a couple of weeks, they're right back there. But the Blue Jays got to be happy as all get out as well. They're 5.5 up on the AL East now with no Judge.
You want to try to create separation right here.
Big time, and they really did. I think they were 3 for 4 against Detroit, in Detroit. So
that's huge.
This Blue Jays team, man, is faux real. And you're right. If they can keep on getting separation, that's going to be huge for them. But no Aaron Judge, it's not no problem for the New York Yankees. They've got to win these games. Red Sox are on their heels in the wild card, and then the Astros and the Mariners are in a really big race where if one doesn't make it, I'm wondering if another one makes the wild card.
Well, listen, just looking at the standings right now, I mean,
I'm trying to get people to panic, okay? I'm trying to
I know
make
you
Yankees
love to get
fans.
people to panic when you're 4 games back or 5 games back, but listen, I look over like time and 4 out of 10 or not winning series, that's where I worry. I'm not worried about where you are. I mean, in the wild card standings, Yankees are fine, Red Sox are fine right now, Seattle's fine. I look all the way down, I would say, to Baltimore before I think. So that gives you a good 8 teams that are definitely for being the 3 teams from the American League going in the wild card. And so those are the teams that should be buyers. I mean, maybe Baltimore is trying to maybe trade somebody and get something in return for their minor league system. The A's have a lot of guys that they could dump. Oh yeah. So the whole roster has a bunch of guys.
Give it to me.
And so if you can't listen, if Arizona, who has a great piece in Eugenio Suarez, this is why the Yankees went, and they probably said, "I'm tired of talking about Eugenio," and called Colorado and said, "Hey, what about McMahon? Oh, okay, it's only going to take these prospects and this guy, and you'll give them to us. Yep, okay, let's do it. Let's do it because we don't want to give up our future to try and win a championship, especially when Toronto's playing good right now. That dictates a lot of what you're doing in your division. The Red Sox, you know what? I'm also looking. They wanted a guy like a Ryan McMahon. You know, they need a guy at first base, a steady first baseman or third baseman. So you're thinking, it's better to get Ryan McMahon than let him go to the Red Sox. Now, if I'm the Red Sox, I'm going, I've got some guys that the Arizona Diamondbacks might want. But I'm also a lot of these other teams that are thinking the same thing right now. The Cincinnati Reds would love to get Eugenio Suarez back in Cincinnati.
I'm waiting for them to do something. I'm waiting for that Reds team to make some kind of move to actually tell the world, we are for real.
Reds are 1 game out of the 3rd wild card spot in the National League, right behind San Diego.
Yeah.
So again, if I'm Milwaukee, Philly, San Diego, and San Diego and Milwaukee have been in and out of first place, San Diego's still chasing the Dodgers. You're basically saying, listen, if this possibility comes up, I cannot allow the Giants to get him if I'm San Diego. And if I'm the Brewers, I can't allow Cincinnati to do it. So I'm thinking I got to pull the trigger on some of these trades. That's why the trade third baseman, because they didn't have to give a lot and they were able to pull early, and now all of a sudden, might be a coincidence, might not be a coincidence, maybe he's had this flexor tendon strain for the last month, and now we can shut Judge down and stick and move some pieces around.
I was saying that yesterday.
Up.
I was thinking that yesterday.
Don't think that this just happened.
My biggest thing in the trade deadline every single year when I'm trying to figure out what team is actually going to win the World I like all of the lineup deals. I like all the everyday player guys, but to me it's an arms race. And whoever gets the top tier starting pitcher or the top tier back end closer is actually ahead of the game when it comes to the trade deadline. I'm still wondering about Keller from Pittsburgh.
How about Dylan Cease?
Dylan Cease for sure. Like that's a weird one because he's on a contender and like they're willing to give up.
I don't know what his contract is like, and he's not having a good year.
Right, but I'm waiting for those shoes to drop here this week to really see who's going for it.
Well, I also like the thought of, okay, everybody thinks we're going to go after Dylan Cease or we're going to go after this guy, but I love what the Red Sox did a few years ago when they went and got Chris Sale, because you looked at him and you're in a market where we can absorb 3 years of 13 to 15 million per. In fact, I think Sale's contract, the first 2 years of the 3 left on it, were 13. And the third year was $15 million. So you're thinking, okay, we can budget that in over the next 3 years instead of signing a free agent that's making $30 million a year. You almost absorbed all of that with one player. So I what they gave up, and look, the next thing.
Yeah.
So when you think about what they gave up to get Chris Sale, I'm not thinking that, and the other guy was a double-A outfielder that's never hit the big leagues. And Joe Oliver told me, yes, this guy's a great player, never panned out. So I just think that, when you're making these deals, you've had scouts following these minor league teams around for an awful long time. You're trying to pick up some big things, but also you're scouting your own players and going, okay, is this guy close in the next year or two in your estimation? And if the answer is no, and somebody else covets that guy, why are you holding on to it? So you're hearing now the Mets want to part with this guy, or the Yankees want to part with this guy. Well, they've come under the impression that this guy's not going to be an impact player in the next couple of years, kind of like Dominguez in left field. In the minor leagues, you probably were able to hide this guy, and he didn't make as many mistakes in left field in the minor leagues. Okay, now he gets up to the big leagues, and every error is a moment on the top 10 worst plays of the week. That's the thing that people don't see every day. That there's a lot of good people that are watching a lot of bad baseball right now that are saying, yeah, this guy that's in Double-A or Triple-A, yeah, we could package him in a trade right now. They come back to a Craig Breslow, or they come back to Cashman, and they're just like, all right, yeah, okay, they want this guy. We're not going to give our top 2 or 3 prospects, but we'll give up 4 or 5 to get Dylan Cease.
Let's talk New York Mets. They're hot, man. I know they beat the Angels in a series, but a huge one this weekend, sweeping the Giants in San Francisco.
Massive.
Big win last night. This the Ronnie guy had a huge home run against the Giants. This guy's come out of nowhere.
They were going to send him down a month ago, and they kept him.
I know.
And he's become a good player.
And they don't even really need him.
Right.
I mean, because this lineup seems like it's
because,
stacked.
again, he's protected. When you got the Lindors and you got the Alonsos and you got the Sotos, nobody's paying attention to that, including me. I'm worried about 3, 4, 5, 6,
Exactly.
2, 3, 4, 5, and
Exactly.
I'm thinking, all right, what's this guy in the 7 hole going to do to me? What's this guy in the 8th hole going to do to me?
Let me give him a strike to line this
That's right.
up. And
let me throw a fastball right down the gut here, first pitch to get ahead, and whammo, back, and you're like, now I look stupid.
I think the best thing about the Mets right now, we'll see how it progresses. They got Manaea back. They got Kodai back. It seems like they're rocking.
You just got Montas back.
Got Montas back.
Those are all like trades. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. When you get your guys coming back, and all of a sudden now they become like that impact player you traded for because that guy hadn't been with you when you were coming back.
Right.
And this is the thing that I said this. I mean, we could go back and probably check the tape from 3 months ago. I was like, don't worry about Soto. Soto's not a problem. That's not.
I remember you saying
that's
that.
not a guy I'm worried about. Now, McNeil is a guy I worry about. And if McNeil's hitting and Lindor's hitting, and you got the guys, the pieces around Soto and Alonso, Nimmo, some of these other guys, they have to hit. They have to make you pay when you walk Alonso to get to this guy. Those are the pieces that you have to worry about. So, and that's what, again, we get back into the He's got a bunch of home runs. I don't know how many were hit in Colorado, but here's the thing. This guy welcomes the opportunity to go to the postseason. He, all of a sudden...
And pressure at bats. Last night's RBI, that's a huge pressure at bat for him to come through. But everybody now knows, we can rely on this guy.
He hit good against St. Louis. They knew a month ago that if we checked down, and I could tell you, I've been in Brian Cashman's office. He's got all these different boards. He's got his minor league system. He's got his major league team. His roster is 40-man roster, and then he's got probably a bunch of guys I shouldn't have seen their names. And this is years ago of guys that were guys they liked.
Right.
Guys that were on their radar.
Their big board.
I guarantee on that big board was McMahon's name somewhere where he had been. Hey, if we can't get this, and this, that guy, if he's available and he's hitting the ball well at the time, we got to pull the trigger on it.
Now, at the beginning of the season, you wanted this guy to pick a lane and stick with it, and he's more valuable at the plate than he is on the mound. But Shohei looks like he is going to pitch more and more as the days go on, that these one-inning starts are really just like his rehab starts, and now he's looking like he might actually get a full-blown start and go some distance.
Well, and like, okay, he's after this 3-inning stint, so let's just give him an extra day and let him go maybe 4 innings. Okay, he made 4 innings, and everything is a threshold with these people. They have it in their trainer's head. They have it in their strength conditioning. Are like, well, if we give him an extra day in San Francisco and then he pitches at home, we make a few million more by him starting in front of his own people. So this is, something that, don't be surprised at some of these 3 or 4 or 5 or even a great start where they score 8 runs early and it's like, okay, we can get this guy through the 5th inning and get the confidence back in his head that he's healthy enough to go that long, because I have no doubt Shohei knows he's healthy enough to pitch 9 innings. I have no doubt. I think Ichiro, if you gave Ichiro a uniform on any big league team right now, Ichiro would go play. There's a different mentality that comes across the water with some of these guys. And so for Shohei, dude, he's all baseball all the time. He relishes the fact that people are thinking he can't do both again and do it well. And here's the thing. If it comes to the part where you've got enough starters and you're in the postseason in the first or second round, put this guy in the bullpen. Who doesn't
That's
have
what
room?
I've been saying the whole
Who doesn't
time.
have room for another guy that could throw 100 and lead off during the game, and then you're like, hey, by the way, go get loose. You're like 7 hitters away from hitting. Go down to the bullpen real quick, warm up a little bit, and tell us how you feel. Do you want to come in and throw an inning or two in a close game? This is what Pedro did at the end of his career. This is what Clemens and a lot of these other guys were like, any way I can help. Smoltz, when he was coming off of Tommy John, these guys would go back to the bullpen. I remember St. Louis did it all the time. God, they brought in Chris Carpenter. When Adam Wainwright came over from the Braves and was hurt, they started him in the bullpen as a closer, setup guy. I mean, it's pitching. This is not rocket science, and he's top 3 in the major leagues anytime he takes the rubber. So, like you said, that's another valuable asset. We didn't have to give up 4 pieces in the minor leagues for, and we're also. Oh, by the way, he's also on our payroll.
Shohei will pitch Wednesday, starting pitching Wednesday in Cincinnati against the Reds.
Again,
in Cincinnati.
For me with Shohei, teams dread seeing him. Like
everywhere, whether he's on the
like
bases,
a pitching staff that doesn't have to face Judge is the reverse on a lineup that's going, oh my God, so I got to face Shohei and then their bullpen. I mean, those are the kind of things these guys they think about. It would be like a great knuckleballer. Let's say when Wakefield was playing, and you're like, oh God, So our hitters wouldn't take BP because they're like, there's no way you can replicate a knuckleball. I don't care if it's a knuckleballer that comes in there. It's not going to be every knuckleballer is different. Like Tom Cagnotti was different from Charlie Huff, was different from my Steve Sparks, that was my teammate with the Brewers. They're all different guys. And so, when you're seeing, now you're like, you weren't thinking in your brain, Shohei's back. You don't want to cool off if you're the Reds. The Reds are playing great baseball right now. I've been laughing my butt off at some of the stuff that Terry Francona's been talking about. Terry's trying to do a Bill Parcells here. He's deflecting so you don't ask tough questions of his players. Francona will sit there and he will talk to you all day, every day, all night, as long as don't bother my players. Let them do what they're doing and stay hot.
It's just funny that, Francona's there for a year, and they're already contending.
Not even.
And, what did they get? Oh, they must have got a lot of great pieces. No, same team that you were dealing with last year. It's just good coaching, man. It's like, as much people say in professional sports, does coaching really matter? Yeah, it really does. And I think you see it in Major League Baseball a lot more often than people give them credit for it.
Well, listen, all of these players are in their own heads. And in a world where we are here in the golf world, these guys are all in their own heads.
Oh, yeah.
But it's all on them. In baseball, occasionally I had plenty of people to pick me up, but what I'm saying is the exposure is totally different. These guys, when they have a bad, let's say, they go 2 for 20. I'll give you an example with Paul O'Neill. He'd take his bat, he'd sit in the room, and he'd swing. I just read a story. Aaron Judge doesn't leave his hotel room anymore. First of all, I hope he's a video game guy. I hope he does something other than sit there and dwell, because his batting average has gone from 400 to 342. That's the last thing I want in his name. Him thinking, well, I got to win the batting title, or I got to do this, or I got to do that. Get healthy, help us win a championship. That's why we're paying you so much money. But at the same time, my God, I would hate the guy to be a recluse because he's so big and recognizable now that he can't go out with his wife and his kids and his dog or dogs, which, by the way, my daughter loves his dogs. That's a sad existence. It was like Jordan. Jordan couldn't go anywhere without people. I don't think anybody wants to be as famous as the most. Those people.
I think it's not getting talked a lot about with certain Yankees as it does with other people, but for Judge and Boone, just for those guys, they've got to win one, man. They haven't won one.
I know.
And for Judge, this injury.
Well, look at how hard they've been on Volpe. We didn't touch on him. That's all I heard at this tournament.
But you gotta win, man. I can't on making excuses for things.
But he's not a one-man team.
I understand.
And when he boots a ball, that's not maybe the defining play why we lost today.
Right.
It could be a reliever that you brought in the wrong situation, or, Boone mismanaged the last 9 outs of a game. Did you see that error Volpe made? And that's the headline tomorrow. That's the back page of all these New York newspapers. That's all the FAN and everybody's talking about. And then, of course, like I keep telling you, then it's his wife or girlfriend. Then it's the mom and dad. Then it's, if he's married, then it's the in-laws. And it's I was listening to FAN, and they were talking about you, Anthony, and blah,
What'd
blah.
they say?
Exactly. I mean, he's going, I don't want to even talk to you because you have no idea what's going through my mind right now. You think I want to suck and go out there and boot balls in front of the world?
But we're getting to a place where put up or shut up, and these little mistakes are mounting to the point where the Yankees ain't going to win it.
Garrett Cole has no control over his Tommy John elbow.
I know.
Clark Schmidt. They're, like I tell you, the worst thing is to be hurt. You're not contributing. I don't care how much they're paying you. You're dead money. And so, but you're also invisible. Nobody wants to talk to Garrett. Hey, how's your rehab, bro?
Right.
I'm 2 for my last 35, man.
Right.
You think that guy cares?
Right.
Hey, they're just about ready to send me back to the minor leagues because I can't field shortstop. You think that guy cares how Garrett Cole's doing right now? I mean, yes, he does, but he's got his own issues. And what did Ichiro say? As long as I take care of me, you can take care of you.
You're a better
teammate.
So
exactly.
I just think that the Yankees' pressure is going to start building, and if they don't make the playoffs, which I feel like is a long shot that they won't make the playoffs,
they'd really have to hurt themselves.
The Yankee fan is not a happy camper, even with the season last year. And Boone has had a lot of rope, a lot more than most of the coaches get that are New York Yankees coaches. Judge has done so many things as a Major League Baseball player, except one thing. Get even worse the closer we get to the end of the year.
By the way, Rob Manfred had a closed-door meeting with the Phillies, and basically Bryce Harper listened to what he had to say and then told him to get the F out of here. That's not a story. That's not a.
What was he meeting with them because they're mad at the All-Stars?
No.
Why?
They're talking about they can't have the finances go the way they're going with $100 million deals. That's a conversation for the ownership group.
Right, exactly.
And so what Manfred is doing is setting the players up to look bad in front of, because they control the media. They control all these media contracts and these TV deals and stuff like that. So this happened in my day.
You're spelling it out for me right now, man. I was wondering this all day. Why did he meet with them?
Manfred went in there, and first to have this guy, who I can't stand, Jeff Passan, but to have him say that the commissioner walked in, he set these guys up, he came out, and he's like, we need a salary cap or we're going to lock you out. And basically, he threw a hand grenade into this locker room, and Bryce Harper's not having it. Bryce Harper stood up because he's the highest paid guy on this team, and he said, turn around, get the F out of here. We have a CBA right now, and if you shut us down, you're killing yourself. You're not killing us. These guys are way more together than we were. A lot of these high-priced guys now know what's at stake.
Yep.
They knew this was coming. And so I told you, I said, even after the last collective bargaining agreement, that they would come back and start this salary cap stuff. They do this all the time. And listen, the players don't mind a salary cap. They're more worried about the free agency, and not enough guys are getting giant deals. You're getting a handful of guys with giant deals, and you're getting 80% of the free agents are getting these 1 and 2 year contracts. That hurts the game. It hurts the product and free agency. So there, some way, somehow, you gotta get these bottom feeder, the 10 teams that don't want to spend money, the Marlins, the A's, the Tampa Bay Rays, even though they play really well with a very low.
They're in a minor league ballpark right now, man. They're not spending money.
No, but I'm talking about their roster.
Right. Oh yeah,
these notorious. I think they're down with that. You want to have the floor be 90, 92%? I'm totally down with that. Make the Pirates spend $220 million every year. Make the Reds spend. You think that the Castellini family want to spend $200 million a year on a product in what they call a small market? It's actually a mid-market team. So that's what we're talking about. So then you throw a hand grenade in front of all these Phillies that are fighting for their lives with the Mets in a last 2 months of the season, and let's talk business thing. I kudos to Bryce Harper. He has grown up, he's matured, and now. But for the entire union of Major League Baseball, that we're not going to listen to this nonsense, especially during the season where everything's going great right after the All-Star game. This is what Major League Baseball is perfect at, killing themselves right after a great event like this year's great All-Star game.
It's apples and oranges when it comes to the WNBA conversation, because the WNBA is fighting for future dollars they think they may have. The Major League Baseball dollars are already, they're fighting for future billions that are, dreams
15 years down the road.
Most likely going to happen. So it's just fascinating where those two leagues are and how different their negotiations are going.